let's get started. I have my Burp Suite up and running. Talking about the Intruder tab, then what's the use of Intruder tab? When we have to pass a list of values to the same request, then we make use of Intruder. Let me open DBWA, go to Bruteforce section. Let's just provide the username as Pablo and password as random value. Let's capture the login request. Send this request to Intruder. Switch to Intruder tab. Here, there are two things, payload position and the attack type. Payload position is that parameter or part of the request which is going to receive our payload from the list of payload values. Now, there can be one or more such positions depending upon the scenario. For example, if I want to do a brute force attack, then I will select password as the payload position, and that will be the only payload position. Currently, all these highlighted parameters are selected as payload position. I can unselect all of them by clicking the clear button. Oops, let's just select all, click on clear button. I will just select the password as the payload position. Make sure to select the value of a parameter as payload position and not the parameter name. After this, we have to select the attack type. Sniper attack is the default attack type, but there are 4 different attack types that are available. In case of a sniper attack, irrespective of the number of payload positions, the payload list is common for all. Now from the payload tab, I will provide a list of payloads. I can either provide them one by one, or I can copy the list from somewhere and paste it here, like this. I can clean all the inserted values or remove just an individual value, like this. Clean all the values. I can also upload a text file containing my payload. So let's select this file. You can see all the values from the file are populated over here. Now I can additionally provide some more values to it. Once I'm done with the payloads, let's start the attack. In the community version, there are certain restrictions on Intruder. The requests are time throttled and there is a considerable amount of delay between two requests. However, in the Pro version, by default, there is no such throttling. This message is informing us about the same. As you can see, the Intruder is sending the payloads one by one. One thing to note over here is that even for wrong passwords, we are getting 200 as a response. In such cases, we have to focus on the content length. And here you can see the content length is different for this one. Let's just see the response. Go to render. You can see let me in is the correct password. Now there can be instances where you deliberately have to provide some delay in between requests because the application blocks a user if it detects there is a brute force attack or the requests are coming back to back in short span of time. The Pro version allows you to set this time delay, but you cannot do this in community version. Let me still show it to you how you can do it. Go to options tab under Intruder. There's this request engine. From here you can do all those settings. Burp Suite also allows us to compare the requests. Let's select the one with correct password and the one with the wrong password. Right click on a request and select send to comparer response if you want to send the response to comparer, or select send to comparer request if you want to send a request to comparer. It all depends upon your need. I'm selecting send to comparer response. Repeat it for another one. Now go to comparer tab. Here you can see there are two sections, item 1 and item 2. In item 1, there are two entries as well as in item 2. In bottom right corner, there are two options for comparison. Compare on the basis of words or bytes. Let's select words. The orange highlighted section means the values are modified. Blue means something was deleted. And yellow denotes something was added. Let's scroll down. Here you can see in this response we have a message username and password are incorrect. On this side we have a welcome message. This is our response for correct password. Now back to our intruder tab for other type of attacks. In case of a sniper attack, if there are more than one payload positions, the number of requests would be equal to the product of number of payload positions and payload values. For each payload position, the same input would be provided one by one. If I select username as another payload location, then the request count changes. The value is equal to the number of payload positions, which is 2, into the number of payload values, which is 7. So our requests are coming out to be 14. Start the attack. Notice that payload values are being inserted into the first payload position, which is the username. And once all the payload values are exhausted, the same payload values are inserted into the second payload position, which is the password field. This type of attack is useful during fuzzing, when you want to discover hidden directories and files. I will be making a separate video on the topic of fuzzing. Moving to the next attack type, which is battering ram. In this type of attack, the same payload list is used for the multiple payload positions. You must be thinking that we were doing the same in case of sniper attack as well. Then what is the difference? Well, the difference is that unlike sniper attack, the value from payload will be used all at once. If there are two payload positions and 7 payload values, then only 7 requests will be generated. Here you can see the payload count and the request count is the same. Start the attack. Observe that values of username and password are same. Now there are scenarios where username and password are kept the same or default username and password are used. This attack can be used for testing those scenarios. Suppose there are multiple parameters in a request and you want to test each of those parameters for SQL injection or XSS, then also battering ram attack will be very helpful for you. Moving to the next attack type, which is pitchfork. In this attack type, when we select different payload positions, then we have to provide a separate payload list for each position. It is good if each payload list has the same number of values in it. Let me quickly provide some values for the payload. Notice that the number of requests are 6 because both my payload lists have 6 payload items in them. If I will add one more value to this payload list, then also the number of requests remains 6, even though now I have 7 payload items in this list. In order to increase the request count to 7, I will have to add another item to other payload list so that both of them have 7 items. The attack would still work if there is a mismatch in number of items in different payload lists, but the extra payload items will never be used. Let's start the attack. And here you can see different values are being added to the payload positions at the same time. Moving to the next attack type, cluster bomb. In this type of attack, again we have to provide different payload list for each payload position. However, the number of requests are Cartesian product of payload list 1, payload list 2, and so on. In our case, there are two payload positions, and both the payload lists have 7 items. So the number of requests that will be generated is 49. Start the attack. Notice that the payload position 1 value is variable in each request, but for the payload position 2, the first value from the payload list is being used. Once the payload 1 list is completely exhausted, the same thing will be repeated with the second value from the payload list 2 and so on. So this was the second part of the Burp Suite series. I will be back with another part covering some more features. I'm sure you must have liked this video. Do like, share and comment and let me know your views. Also don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon. Thank you and goodbye.